Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Yoichi 10 from the Nikka distillery. Dustin, because this one comes in at 46% ABV.
45, Mike.
Oh, excuse me, 45% ABV. My side is failing me these days, and a relatively newer release bottle, Dustin.
Yeah, pretty recent. I haven't seen these local yet, so I don't know if we'll get them. I think it's a small release. So I ponied up, bought one online. Paid way too much shipping, but here it is.
Always good to get an age statement, Japanese whiskey. Oops.
Yeah, and I will say this, guys, if you do find these for retail-ish, they are going for under $200, which is you can't say about the Yamazaki or the Hibiki anymore.
And if your fireworks going off in the background, sorry. It's still roughly 4th of July around here in Columbus, Ohio. So if you hear that, that's what that is, not gunshots.
By the way, Mike, love
screw top.
The screw top here. Heavy plastic. This thing is never going to break and fail on you.
No.
And one thing I just wanted to point out. So the Japanese, they learned how to make whiskey from guys over in Scotland. So they're making Scotch-style whiskeys here, but they're using American 45%. I don't get it.
Yeah, it does say single malt, so if I didn't say that in the original title, my apologies.
And again, it's made with the style. I mean, they went and learned in Scotland how to make whiskey and brought it back to Japan. They decided 45 instead of 46.
45 is a good solid number.
It is, but 46 is just kind of what you expect in Scotch, you know?
It is. All right, Dustin, let's get to it. Ooh.
So one thing I did forget to mention, Mike.
Peated.
This is coal fire stills. And I am picking up that coal note right away.
Yeah, it's very, very gritty, dirty, sooty.
Yeah,
which is rare for a Japanese whiskey.
Yeah. And to have coal and peat together with this super fruity malt, because I mean the malt is fruity.
The malt's fruity, but the initial flavors you're going to get is absolutely coal and peat. Yeah. The peat is recognizable, but not something that immediately I can say, oh, it's kind of like, Isle of Peat minus this or something like that. It's very recognizable, but also non-distinct, which is sort of strange.
I don't know if they're getting, if they're sourcing from Scotland or if they've got something local. I really don't know. Knowing how the Japanese work, it would almost slightly surprise me if they're not getting it from Scotland. But if they are, I don't know what they're using, because this doesn't remind me of the classic Port Ellen.
Yeah, definitely not Port Ellen, I would say, but any of the other ones are up for grabs.
Well, but I mean, like Port Ellen's where like almost everybody in Islay sources their peat. Everybody's getting it there, so I don't know if they get a Highland peat or maybe it's just maybe they have a different process or the shipping it overseas.
But it comes off the way I like peat to come off: dirty and sooty.
Yes,
earthy, dirty peat.
But the more I dig in, man, I'm starting to get this really nice, heavy, like vanilla citrus, almost like citrus lime and vanilla, maybe.
A little bit of honey coming in too.
Hint of mint as well.
I mean, there's spices here. I don't want to go as far as pepper, but there is a biting little spice in the background to it as well.
Could just be some wood spice. I mean, 10 years is probably getting close to giving you that.
I'm happy to see an age statement on Japanese whiskey again.
Yeah, I mean, the 15 years legendary. I mean, it sells for $1,000+ anytime you see it. So, haven't even seen one of those to pay $1,000 for, but here's a 10. I got for $150. So,
almost like a white wine champagne note coming up here at the end too.
Yeah, I can see that. And you almost expect a little bit of a bubbly burn.
Yeah, fizzy.
Yeah. The vanilla on here, though, is really good. It's that initial sweetness I'm getting. It's like vanilla, but it's something sweeter, something more inviting than even like a vanilla note. It's really good.
It's almost coming off, not the vanilla note, but I'm almost getting a side thing with the lemon lime of almost like a 7-Up.
I was almost thinking like tutti fruity bubble gum kind of thing coming through here. You're right, lemon lime, Sprite,
7-Up meets
7-Up, yeah.
A dime store champagne.
And somebody's making barbecue next door.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Like with most Japanese whiskeys, a lot of little pieces here. Yeah. These pieces are a little bit larger chunks, but still quite a few things going on. This is a complex whiskey.
Yeah, they're really doing something fun here. And I don't know anything about cask maturation. I don't know if it's like a lot of Japanese where there's a mixture of all kinds of different casks and they're just blending like crazy.
I would assume.
Yeah, it could be. I love the sweetness on here, Mike.
It is nice.
It's popping out like a really nice, like high-end, expensive whiskey. I don't know if the sooty peat notes are really jumping out in like a super positive way for me. It's recognizable. It's what I like in peat for that sense, but like it also kind of comes off like a young whiskey on the peat. But the sweet comes off like a refined older whiskey.
Well said. Yeah, the sweet notes are becoming more and more predominant. I mean, there's almost a little bit of a light flower note too coming up now. Yeah. Some type of white flower, not the white flower baking soda, but like like a white lily or something like that. Almost like lily pond type of minerality to it. Yeah, quite a few things going on in this. So I see what water will do with this.
Oh yeah. It's everything we just talked about. Initially, when it hits the tongue, nice sweet whiskey, and it's just nondescript sweet. Then you swirl it on the tongue, and that peat just fires right up. The coal notes come in. It's kind of a peppery peat, Mike.
I didn't want to call it pepper before, but I knew there was some spice.
Yeah, on the palate, it's definitely a peppery peat. ABV is low. That I got to ding it right away on because it's definitely thin. But then, anyway, you swallow. That fruitiness comes through with the smoke coming out. It's beautiful, really nice and refined. And then as you're swallowing, like the finish kicks in, the peat comes back. Nice smokiness, well balanced. I'm a little worried about water with this one, Mike, but the flavors are all here. I mean, everything here is good. There's not a single off note here. I mean, it's got a mixture of like refined older whiskey notes with youthful kind of peppery peat on the palate too. It's really well put together, and it's fun.
Pepper initially, then spice. Then as soon as you start to swallow, fruits. A nice fruit basket. There's some orchard fruits there, maybe red apple, a little bit of pear in the background. But then when you swallow, like with most peated whiskey, peat kind of comes back. That dirty kind of sooty note kind of lingers on the palate a little bit here. I wouldn't say it's thin for 45. I would just say it's about. I think its viscosity is pretty close to what the ABV is. It was what I was expecting, or maybe the way you said that had my expectation off.
I guess because of the coal, I was hoping that it kind of like it was one of those that had like flavors that kind of hid the low ABV.
Sure.
And it doesn't really do that because there's nothing punchy here. I think that's the problem. Is there's nothing punchy. If like it had a little bit of a punch somewhere, it would help.
But that's what you expect out of a Japanese whiskey, would it not?
Generally speaking, you are correct. But, you say peated, you start getting a little excited.
Don't get caught up in the words.
I know.
But no, and in long you're here, the spice is here. I think it's wood spice. I like the pepper idea, but it's a good wood spice, too.
Yeah, I'm with you on the wood, too.
All right, a little bit of water. Instantly fruitier.
Definitely, but also I think richer on the fruits. Like it's got the sweetness. It's almost now starting to give me like sort of like a baked good kind of a thing in the sweetness.
Yeah, like a apple pie, or some type of baked apple fritter or something like that.
Yeah, but instead of like cinnamon, it's some other. It's like nutmeg, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. There's no cinnamon in it.
It could be like a nutmeg or something. It's
something green.
Yeah, this is
light parsley.
I can see something like that sneaking in here. Yeah.
There's still a good linger here from the initial tasting.
Yeah, or maybe like even like an oregano or something. Like it almost kind of gives you something like you might get on like a fancy like garlic bread where they've kind of thrown some spices there.
Yeah, or pizza. The little higher end pizza shop.
Yeah, and that's going with this really nice sweetness. A little bit of a pastry thing going on. The smoke's more something I pick up at the back end now, and it comes in with like a little bit of like sawdust now.
It changed from it being peat, pepper driven initially, and the fruits here, and it changed them with the water.
Yep. Getting less of the coal note though. I will point that out.
Yeah, all the dirtiness got turned down.
Yeah, but I do get like a raw, fresh like sawdust kind of a note coming there at the end.
Let me try to get there. Because I was going to say sand, like when you go to a beach and like kind of sun hits the sand, sort of that aroma.
Like freshwater sand. Okay.
Nothing off-putting. I'm not saying like shells or anything decaying on the beach. Just wet sand.
That's one thing I was going to just actually, now that I thought about it, I don't get any salient notes. It's very not getting any of the sea like saltiness. I'm not sure where Nikka is in Japan. I mean, It's a big enough country where you could certainly keep your barrels inland.
They have a lot of valleys. It's a very hilly terrain, a lot of Japan, too. So you could be tucked in one of those coves. And now that I say that, and I was just picking up just a moment ago, was sort of a lemongrass in it as well.
I can see that for sure.
But yeah, overall, I mean...
Let's see what happened.
Strong presentation. Especially for a 10-year-old whiskey. I mean, this is really well put together. 45. I thought for sure that was 46. Dustin, I need glasses. I cannot see small lettering up close anymore. I think
lighting is not great in here, guys.
I think it's me.
It's probably both, but all right. More peppery now, actually. Unlike on the nose, the sweetness, like the fruit notes, got turned down. It is still overall a sweet experience, but it's not as fruity. And I'm getting a lot more like the pepper. I'm getting a little bit like a clay note now on the peat notes. Not a drastic change. It really didn't bring down the whiskey in any discernible negative way. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's nice. It's well put together. Solid whiskey.
Yeah, the pepper note is really swelled through the mid-palate and the end of the experience. I still say the soot and everything is kind of down. But as for as much extra fruit as I got on the nose with water, I did not get that on the palate.
No.
Which is not expected, but, interesting, I guess.
I went in for a second little taste thereafter, and I did get a little bit of sourness now, which I like. It just kind of gives it a nice, different note.
You're right. There's a twinge of sour to this, too.
Yeah, it's nice.
Dustin, Nikka Distillery turned out another pretty good one here for us. This Yoichi 10.
Yeah.
Where are you as far as the whiskey score on this one?
It's my bottle, so Mike, that means you go first.
That's right. Okay, so Japanese whiskey.
Mind you, I had it one time last night, so...
That is how we do it, though. All right, so this is a very well done whiskey. Got a lot of little parts, a lot of things I like. It gave a little jump around and disjointed at some points, but I'm at an 88 out of 100 on this one. Maybe could have gone 89, but I think it's a solid offering. I like the extra age, and I think it's pretty well done overall whiskey.
Wow, that's a strong score. I was not expecting to go that high.
I like it.
I was between two scores. I am going to give it the higher of the two because I like that little bit of sour note I got when I went back in for that final taste. I'm going to give it an 87. I think it's really good, solid whiskey. Nothing negative here, but I don't know. I mean, 87, it's about $110 bottle. This one's going for $150. It feels like it's in the right realm for where this should be. We were saying almost an 89, so that's why I was like, you were thinking...
This super enjoyable whiskey.
You were thinking like going almost like the $200, $250 bottles. We'll spend $250 on an 89 and be happy. So
yeah, this is a $150 bottle for sure.
Yeah, I think this is pushing it at $150 for me, so that's why it's at the 87. Solid whiskey. I'm not upset. I'm going to have this in my collection a long time, and I look forward to seeing. Hopefully, if it changes as it opens up, we'll let you know. But anyway, guys, solid offering. Anyway,
those are our thoughts on this particular whiskey. This Yoichi 10-year-old, 45% ABV. Just until next time, what a wish to folks.
Happy Japanese whiskey drinking.
We'll see you then.